talking here and now. I'm talking here and now.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Can someone just confirm?
Yeah, hi, Sujay. We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We, the core team of Project Possible, are very pleased to be able to welcome all of you. Today's event is a special one as it is our first expert session. We feel so honored to have our guest speakers for today, Mohan Adam from Action Invest and Shirin Patel from Just Mortgages. Welcome to this event. I am so happy to see all of you joining in this meeting. Thank you all for investing your time, and I am very sure you will gain lots of knowledge from today's event. We are happy to inform you that we are live in YouTube right now. I take this opportunity to welcome all the YouTube viewers and the Facebook community. Right. Before we start, there are few house rules that we all need to follow. Okay, the first one is keep your cell phone off or in silent mode. Mute your mic unless speaking. Your video must be on because it's a GDPR requirement. So please keep all your video on. I need to see all that lovely faces. Make sure you take notes because you're gonna get loads of information today. Any questions, please put it in the chat box and then our core team will pick up your questions. Use the same details that was sent to you to rejoin if at all the call drops due to any technical reason. You will get this presentation video by email. You will get the recording of today's launch in 24 hours. And please tell us how we did in our feedback form. Now I hand over to Robin, who will explain the agenda for today.
Thank you, Suja. Hi guys, welcome to Project Possible. And as you can see very much clearly our screen, it's a welcome, which is already done by our Suja, who is a co-member of our Project Possible. After this, we will be having our first session with Mo and Adam, who will be taking us through how you need to know what you need to know when you are sourcing an investment property. Followed by the Q&A session. Q&A session will be hosted by Kushal. Further to that, the second session will be taken by Shirin Patel on property investment mortgages. And followed by the Q&A session will be taken by Pari. And towards the end of the session, we will be introducing our next month's expert, who will be joining with us in the same platform as you are all joined today right now, and which will be on 17 November 2021. It will be our second expert session. So guys, please make a note of this date, 17 November 2021. Towards the close of the session, we'll be sending a feedback link through our WhatsApp, which you normally receive all our updates and videos and other informations. So we'll be sending a quick feedback link while we are on the meeting, and then we'll be requesting you to submit your feedbacks in a short while once you receive your feedback link. And you can also share your queries and any questions on our Facebook page or social media pages like Facebook or our Gmail ID, which is clearly visible on this slide towards the end of the screen. That is projectpossible2021@gmail.com. Finally, we will be handing over this session to the Nira and Jito, who will be giving the vote of thanks on behalf of Project Possible. Now, before we introduce our first guest speaker for today, I would like to take this opportunity to say a few words about them. Our first speaker today is Mohammed Ullah, also known as Mo, is the director of an Action Investment Limited. Mo has been into multiple businesses over 25 years. He has been through all walks of his business life, and he has owned many couple of takeaway businesses and taxi companies also. Despite all of his low points in his life, he followed his mom's advice, which we both had heard through his one of his video. The sentence that he mentioned was by his mom was, "You are in a deeper end. Now you need to swim," and that's exactly what he did. he never gave up. He built his network after joining Samuel Leeds, who is a well-known trainer in his training academy, and shifted his focus to the properties. He has always been positive attitude and is working very hard towards his achievements. Along with Mo, I have Adam Brown, who is a managing director of Action Invest. He is also a property investor and a deal sourcer. Adam is very enthusiastic, hardworking, and ambitious, and aims to take Action Invest to the next level. He is becoming the managing director of Action Invest at the age of 23, and thus he is the role model of all the individuals. Mo and Adam, you both are an inspiration for all of us, and it's a pleasure to welcome both Mo and Adam on our virtual platform.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for that introduction. Very nice of you. Start off with asking a couple of questions. How many of you are investing in property right now? Is there a chat box they can write investing now, or yeah?
Yeah, there is a chat box.
Yeah, so if you put it in the chat box, are you investing now? The other question is, how many of you are new to investing? Just so I can get a gauge of who's where in their property journey. Investing now, as you know, new, brilliant. So we got a good mix, very new to investing, fantastic. Okay, so we've got a nice mix, beginner. Okay, brilliant, thank you. So thank you for the introduction. Yes, my name is Mohammed Ullah. I'm the director of Action Invest. Yes, I've done 25 years of business experience under my belt. I've ridden the roller coaster of business, up and down, hold on tight, and everything will be okay at the end. Guys, I'd like to thank you all for being here today. You've all taken your time out from your busy lives to come and join us. I'd like to thank you all for being here. Really, really, really appreciate it. So today, Adam and I are going to teach you what it takes for us to source deals, what we go through. We're going to go through that with you. The reason we're going to do that is there's a lot of people that buy deals and make big mistakes, and when they make big mistakes, it means big money. And the last thing we want you to do is make mistakes like that. So we're going to run through what we do at Action Invest and run through that side of things with you. Adam and I have been selling deals for the last about a year now, and we're selling deals every week. We've got many happy investors, and we're doing some HMO projects ourselves as well. We work with investors as well. We do JV opportunities as well. We're doing one in Boston at the moment where we're converting a 4-bedroom house into a 6-bedroom HMO. And we're doing another one as well in Wigan, which is a 3-bedroom house, and we're turning it into a 7-bedroom HMO. So we're actively doing projects ourselves. We have other buy-to-let properties as well. We're going into the service accommodation side of things as well. And, we're here to share our journey with you and help you make good decisions when it comes to property. So next slide, I think we're going to go over to who's in control of the slides.
They are.
Is it G2? G2, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, as I said there's our slides of what we do. And Adam's my right-hand man. He runs Action Invest for me day in, day out, does all the calculation, makes sure all the deals stack up. He's got an estate agent background. He's a very, very good property sourcer as well. He's very good at finding good deals. And we have a network of co-sourcers as well up and down the country. Next slide. Thank you. Okay, so I'll let Adam take over here. Okay.
So guys, as Mo just said there, my name is Adam Browse. Thank you very much to Mo for that brilliant introduction. I'd like to take the time to thank the team at Project Possible as well for making it possible for us to be here. We really, really do appreciate it. And we want to make sure that you guys get the most amount of value out of it, because at the end of the day, you've all invested the time to be here. You've taken time out of your busy days to be here. So we really do appreciate that, and we want to thank you for that. So what we're going to be talking about today is deals. This is what we go through every single week to make sure that the properties we're looking at are the best. This is what you're going to need as well when you're looking at your properties. So I'm going to go through deals. Deals is an acronym. It actually stands for all the steps that you're going to need. So I'm going to go through it, and then we're going to see, we're going to go through everything to make sure you guys know what it is. And then if you've got any questions after that, we will take questions. So guys, if we could go on to the next slide, that would be fantastic. Back one. So as you can see there, deals stands for due diligence, effort, area, learn, and sales. So your due diligence is so important on the properties you're looking at, because you're not just going to go and buy some random property and go, yeah, I like the look of that one looks good. You need to go into the estate agents and letting agents in the area to check out the area. You need to see if it's actually going to rent the property you're looking at. You need to check and see if there's tenant demand in the area. You want to see if there's any development or rejuvenation going on in the area, which could give you a really good opportunity for capital appreciation in the long run. When you're doing your diligence as well, you want to be able to check the condition of the property. So you do need to know about the common issues in the areas you're looking at. The next thing you're going to need when you're looking for deals is effort. You need to put the effort in. You need to go out there and take action. Mo actually called Action Invest after that, because he knows you need to take action when you're out viewing properties. So that's why you need to put in the effort, you need to take the action, you need to get out there and make it happen. Another thing that ECODE stands for is energy. You need big energy. You need big energy to get out there, get on the phone to estate agents, speaking to your investors, and just putting yourself out there. It's all about energy. So the person with the biggest energy wins. The next thing you're going to want to have a look at is the area. So as I mentioned, you're going to want to be doing some due diligence on the area to make sure that it actually works. You're going to want to be checking out the area, see if it's a decent area, not so decent, the types of tenants you're going to get in that area as well. On top of that, you're going to want to be checking out the rules of the area. So for example, Mo mentioned HMOs earlier on. In the UK, there's a lot of areas that have Article 4, which prevents HMOs. So you need to be able to check those things to make sure that what you're trying to do in the area actually works and you're allowed to do it. Because the last thing you want to do is buy something in the hopes of making it a HMO and then get to the very end once you've refurbished it, and then the council say, no, you're not getting it. And then you've just wasted a lot of money and you won't be able to sell it afterwards. So it's so important to be able to do your proper due diligence on the area and make sure it is the right one for you. On top of that, another big thing we look for is capital appreciation potential. We check out to see if there's stuff going on, if there's going to be new developments coming into the area, if there's big companies like Amazon or Facebook trying to come in, or if there's big distribution centers nearby. If these companies are coming into the area, this is usually a pretty good sign that they're going to be there for a long term. So that helps push the value of the properties up around that. Another thing that you should be looking out for is new transportation links. So for example, HS2, High Speed Rail 2 in the UK, is pushing up the value of all the areas that are getting a HS2 station, because it's going to make the commute time to London a lot quicker. So therefore, the value of the properties are going up. When you're doing that, things like that, small things like that, could end up being massive gains for you in the future. So really, really important to be checking those things out as well. The next thing you're going to want to be able to do is you need to learn. You need to learn what you're trying to do. So you need to learn how to find good investment properties. You need to learn what you're looking for. You need to learn how to price your refurbishments if the properties you're looking at need any work. You're also going to need to learn how to speak to estate agents and how to speak to letting agents, because they get a lot of people calling and a lot of people wasting the time. So you need to be able to learn how to deal with them properly so that you maximize their time and they maximize yours, and then everybody can be happy. Another thing you're going to want to be learning about is which type of mortgage products you're going to need. This is why it's really important to learn which people you need to have around you. We call this a power team, and the people that you need in that power team can teach you these things, and they can show you the right way. A big thing that we've learned so far is that you need the right people around you. The right people around you can push you 100 steps forward further than the competition. So get the right people around you. The next thing you're going to need to know when you're looking for properties is sales. I know some of you might be like, oh, I don't like sales, but everybody sells. Everybody sells. You just mightn't realize it. When you're in the negotiation phase on a property with a landlord or a vendor or an estate agent, you're selling them on the idea of why your offer is a good one. You're also going to be selling to your potential tenants as well on why your property is the best one in the area and why it's the one they should rent. Things like that. You're also going to be selling to people like the council if you need their involvement. So you're going to be selling them on the idea of why your property is the best and why it needs the licenses that it needs and why it should get there. Another person or group that you're going to be selling to is your lenders. So if any of you are getting mortgages or private funding for your property projects, you're going to want to be and needing to be selling to the lender so that they have the faith in you and the trust in you and know that the property is a good one, a good investment for both you and for them, and that it's not going to fall apart. You're selling them on that idea. So it's really, really important that you're able to master all of this, because if you don't, even one of these steps, if it goes wrong, it could be disastrous and it could end up costing you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds. I don't know about you, but I definitely don't want to be losing money like that. So we want to be able to help you make sure you don't make those mistakes. That's the biggest reason why we're here today, because we see too many investors going out there and not doing all of these checks and making massive mistakes. I saw it all the time, especially as Mo mentioned, I have an estate agency background. I saw it all the time when people were coming in as investors and just buying anything, and then it didn't work for them because they didn't do their proper due diligence on it. They didn't check what the area was like, they didn't check what the demand was like, and they didn't learn what they were doing. It's so important for you all to do all of these steps, because that will make sure you get the highest possible return on your investments and make sure that the investment property you are buying will be there for you in the long run and cause you the least amount of problems. I'm going to pop you back over to Mona because he wants to talk to you about the different types of investors. And this one is a good one, so you're going to want to be paying attention to this. And hopefully we'll be able to find out which type of investor you are, and then we'll be able to help you move on to the next level of that. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll pop you back over to Mo.
Thanks, Adam. Well done. Brilliant job there. So it was meant to pop up one by one, these slides, but by the looks of things, they're not popping up the way we wanted it to pop up. But hey ho, the show must go on, so we'll just carry on. Okay, so there's three types of investors out there. Number one is, we call them the wimps. Now, we are all wimps at some point in our lives when we're learning something new or investing in property, new to investing in property, we're wimps. The wimps need hand-holding. So basically, we come in handy when people new to investing are looking for deals. At Action Invest, every week we source deals, we run the numbers, we source deals as though we're buying them ourselves. And we've got to make sure that we buy with formulas and not feelings. It's vital that the numbers add up, because a lot of people buy, oh, that's in my area, or my son is going to university over there, so I'll buy it for my son while they're there, and they'll buy anything. The return on investment is a vital aspect for us. Obviously, money in, and what we're getting in return as a percentage for that money that we've invested. So we run all our numbers and send out deals every week to our investors. So the first one's wimps. Not wrong with wimps. We were all a wimp at one point of our life, and then we grew to be bigger and stronger. Number two is the whales. Now the whales, they know, they've done it. They run the numbers. They can look at the deal that we send out and say, yeah, I'll have that. The numbers stack up, but I'll go for that. They're professionals. They've probably got a good portfolio under their belt. We all grow to become a whale. When we're investing, whatever business we're doing, we grow to be better and better and better at what we're doing. So once you've invested in one property, then you do another property, the third and the fourth get easier and easier and easier. And the whales will look at our deals, yeah, text in, yeah, send us your terms and conditions, yeah, the money's in the bank, and we've done the deal, and we've sent out all the information on that day. That's how we know. We call them investors the whales. Now the third one, as I said, it was meant to be coming up, W, the wasters. Now the wasters, they're never going to buy off you. They're never going to buy off you. And we can pick up the phone and we can tell who's a waster. When we're doing our sales, we ask questions. We ask them why they were interested in that deal. And the questions that we ask, we work out, we realize that whether this person's a whale or a waster. It saves our time, it saves their time. And we live by these rules basically in our business. Okay, so guys, thank you for listening to us. If you want to get in touch with us, we send out our deals every Tuesdays at 11:45. And the only way you'll see our deals is by going onto our website at www.actioninvest.co.uk. You register your details for our deal alerts. Every Wednesdays, we send the blog out as well, and we keep our investors in the loop of what we've been up to. Adam writes that out, some funny stories and things like that. It's really good. And every Tuesday at 11:45, we send the deals out. We have a system. We work to a system. We've got over 600 investors on our list now, and all the investors know we send the deals out at 11:45. They text in which deals they want, and in order we will ring our investors and we'll send the terms and conditions out, and they will pay our invoice. Once they've paid our invoice, we get all the information over to them. They have 14 days to run their due diligence and make sure they're happy with the deal. After that, before that 14 days, they're entitled to a refund if they're not happy with the deal for whatever reason. After that 14 days lapses, if they don't go ahead with the deal, we find them another deal. So we make sure we look after our customers. We make sure we have happy investors on board. So we're on Facebook as well, Action Invest. We've got a page there. Again, we update, we give value to our investors. We keep people in the loop with what's going on in the industry. There's Instagram as well, Action_Invest UK. That's mine. And then Adam Brown Property, he's on Instagram as well. Then we're both on LinkedIn. You can search us with our names. If you take a screenshot of this, and you can find us later, and there's our email and mobile contacts as well. Adam, would you like to add a few more bits?
Yeah, I think Mo pretty much covered everything there. But once again, we really do want to just take the opportunity to thank you all for listening to us, for your participation, and just for taking the time out of your day to jump on. We really want to thank Project Possible again just for the opportunity. We really do appreciate it. And we're sure this will be the first of many opportunities and many times that we'll be working together. So we're going to jump over and hand over to Kushal now, and he's going to do the Q&A. So any questions you've got, please do shout them out, and we'll make sure we do our best to answer them for you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mo and Adam. That was really an exciting session and good information about how to find deals, what all to look out for, and especially the investors and the time wasters, which is very, very important for you guys. So it is really interesting to know how you tackle those situations. So thank you very much for sharing that insight. So now, guys, I can see 26 participants. So this is the time for the participants to ask their questions. Ask there any burning questions you have, get the questions answered from the experts directly. We just have 15 minutes of time to get your question answers. So just feel free to type your questions in the chat box and let me know if you have any questions. And in the meantime, I've gathered few questions from the participants which are not online. So maybe I can kick off with those questions, Mo and Adam, if that is okay with you guys, and then the participants can chip in with their questions in the chat box as well.
Yeah, go ahead, fire away, ready when you are.
Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. So I understand that with regards to deal sourcing, it is like you have an investor list, and if a new investor is joining, they have to contact you via the website and they'll be added to your investor list. So say suppose they like an investment. So what is the returns you are looking after for a deals of a buy-to-let versus an HMO? So what are the returns you are giving to people?
So when it comes to buy-to-lets, we look out for 10% plus on ROI on single buy-to-lets. When it comes to HMOs, we look at 20% plus for an ROI on HMOs. When it comes to BRR projects, we look at anything above 35% for an ROI for BRR projects. And then when it comes to developments and so on, we look at 50% plus ROI for bigger developments. They're the rules that we work to when we're looking for investments. That's what we work on.
Okay, perfect, great, good to know. Guys, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat, and I would also invite you all to maybe share, like put on your camera if it is comfortable, so we can see who all are joined.
Guys, no questions are wrong questions, so fire away. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be nervous. No question's a wrong question. You know, this is an opportunity to get any questions asked. You know, I know some people are new as well, and this is how we learn and grow, by asking even stupid questions. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
Perfect. So maybe I can take the second one over here. So is it any specific area you guys source, or is it nationwide, as you said, nationwide? So how does that work? Or you are like specifically focused to one specific area where you are specialized?
Good question. Good question. So we're actually based in the Northwest. We're in Manchester, and we've been networking for about 2 years now, and we have a network of co-sources up and down the country. So when we send out deals, you might see something in Lincolnshire, you might see something in Scotland, you might see something in Manchester, you might see something in London. We're all over the show. We've got a network of co-sources all over the show. So yeah, we have a nice balance of co-sources up and down the country.
Ah, okay, perfect. And what about project management? Do you guys also help with project management of the project?
Yeah, when we source properties, we look for the agents in the area. We contact 3 management agents and find out who the best agent is and find out who charges what. Because property investor, you want to have it systemized, really. You want to have it automated. You want to have the management in place. You don't want to do the work. You shouldn't be doing the work. You should have the systems in place. So when we're looking for deals, we make sure there's a management company nearby. We make sure the property will rent out. We look at the demand in the area. We have so many little searches, checks, check. We do to work out how good the deal is for our investors.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good to know. I can't see any questions yet in the chat box. Maybe I can continue with the list, which we any.
Yeah, I have a question, Mo. Yeah, so actually, you know, when we see any deals, so do you prefer the off-market deal or the deals that we search on Rightmove or on such platforms? So which one is better to go for?
Good question. Very good question. A deal is a deal, whether it's come from Rightmove or whether it's come from direct to vendor. It's all about securing that deal off Rightmove. So our closed sources on ourselves, if we're selling something that we've seen on Rightmove, we'll make sure we've got it secured first. We've put the offer in and they've taken it off the market because they've accepted our offer. So even if it's on there, our job is to make sure it's secured. So it doesn't really matter where the deals come from. What matters is the formulas on the deal, whether it stacks up and the ROI on the deal. All about formulas, not feeling. When it's property investing, you're an investor. You want to be in that investor mind frame that I'm an investor, I might be working, and I'm investing my capital into property for it to work for me for when I'm not working. Obviously, we all know property is a long game. If you're buying property to hold it, it's a long game. There's structures and things like that you got to buy in a limited company as well these days. It's more tax efficient, and it's all about the long game. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mo.
I've got two questions. One is from Mark and one is from Bijoy. Bijoy, you have sent the question directly to me. So I'll ask Mark to maybe mute yourself and ask the question. Feel free.
Come on, Mark, get involved.
Evening, guys. Thank you guys for great value. Really appreciate it. Just picking up on what Adam said in regards to his acronyms. The last acronym was S for sales. So you mentioned about being able to sell to agents. So do you follow a script when you speak to agents? Is it sort of free flowing? How do you speak to agents?
I'll let Adam answer that one. Don't want to take over the show.
That's a brilliant question, Mark. Thank you so much for that. In sales, there is some sort of scripts, but you can't just stick to a script because you'll just sound like a robot. It won't work. You do need to be a bit flexible with it, but there is some things that you will always kind of want to include, certain questions you'll always want to ask, but I would never want to just stick with a script because plenty of people do try that and the agents will have heard it before and you don't have the opportunity to build that relationship with them as well. So I would say be flexible with it, but there is some things that you would want to include, certain questions that you want to ask.
If I can add to that, confidence is key as well. When you're talking to an estate agent on the phone, they're reading you. They're trying to understand what kind of investor you are, what kind of a person you are. Confidence is key. We do a lot of things. Adam's standing up and doing the event. I'm sitting down doing the event. We stand up because of the energy. When we're making calls to the agents and so we'll stand up and talk to them. We'll let them know we're a property investor and that we're searching for this, that, the other, whatever it is, our preferences. And we make sure that we're 100% confident in negotiating, in searching for properties. The confidence is key. And you can all get confidence. There's a book by Paul McKenna called Instant Confidence. If anybody out there is lacking confidence, I suggest you read that and that will help you grow and build that confidence up. I was low on confidence, believe it or not, at one stage of my life. Well, I'm full of beans now.
Yeah, you've changed.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so hope that helps, Mark.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Bijoy, do you want to ask a question?
Somebody asked what's the name of the book? The name of the book was Instant Confidence by Paul McKenna.
Okay.
Instant Confidence by Paul McKenna. Great book. Paul McKenna's written a good few books. Very, very good stuff. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mo, is a question for you. You know that if we find a property which we probably the better for the investment, do you talk to the agent and or negotiate with the agents?
Yeah.
On their behalf, yeah.
On behalf of you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
we find properties as though we're buying them out ourselves. So we'll go out there, we'll look at a property, we'll work out how much work's needed, you know, all the due diligence is run, and then we'll put an offer forward. We've never done that for somebody on behalf of somebody. I never say never. I'll always help out where I can and pick up the phone for somebody if need be. I'd be happy to help out in that sense. But as a business, we find deals, we package up the deals, and we sell deals. And our business is very nicely systemized. Our investors know, texts in. They know 11:45 on a Tuesday. They know they're getting an email off us. We send the deals out. They know on the Wednesdays at 6 o'clock they're getting a blog off us. We let them know what we've been up to. We create a know, like, and trust with our investors. We share our lives with them. We let them know what we're doing, what we're up to that week, what we've been up to, you know, what kind of investments we're making. Property is a people's business. If I'm buying a property, I'm buying it off a person. If I'm going to an estate, it's a person I'm talking to. It's a people business. We do a lot of networking. We build a lot of relationships up with agents as well. And that's what it comes down to, building that relationship up, the people's skills and so on, is a vital aspect of property. If you think property, think people.
So
people business.
What is your biggest deal you have done in the whole career?
Our biggest deal at the moment, we're making £100,000 on a HMO project. Our investors invest in £100,000. They're trusting on another project. So people trust us with that kind of money. We've sold many deals, which has brought us in thousands of pounds. My previous businesses, £1 million turnover businesses. I've had millions go through my hands. In one hand, out the other. Keep a few for myself for rainy days.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mo.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Peter. So I think we have got time for one last question. I can see Manju, you have a direct message. I'm getting all the direct messages. So, so maybe do you want to ask the question?
Hi, it's for Mo.
Manu.
Thank you for the session. Hey, hi.
Hey, Manu's up the road from us.
Yeah. It's easy to say my name as Manu because people kind of get confused saying if I say Manu. Yeah. So I'm a Manu fan too. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you support Manu?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But I'm not a fan of CR7 though.
Right. Okay.
So I'm kind of mixed at the moment, yeah. So my question basically is, I'm a newbie to the whole investment kind of scenario. So what's like the minimum that a person needs to come up with to start the investment with you guys?
That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
There's many ways in investing in property and becoming a property entrepreneur. We do deal sourcing. Deal sourcing is a business. We find deals, we package them up, and we sell them to investors. A deal sourcing business, get a bit of training under your belt, do all the compliance and everything. £5,000, you can set up a business, network like crazy, get investors on board, find deals. You know, that's one entry level of being in property.
Okay, cool.
Then there's single buy-to-lets. You'll be putting in 25% of that property value in, plus your stamp duty and all the good stuff. Say 30%. And then you'll be getting an X amount return. That's a single buy-to-let.
Yeah.
Then there's BRR projects where you'll use bridging finance. So say, for example, you had £50,000, you'd use that £50,000, then get bridging on the rest, and then development finance on the rest, and do the project. It's risky.
Much like the Properties in the Hammer kind of show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe, I'm not
yeah.
sure.
But the reason I say formulas, not feelings, is because Homes Under the Hammer, people have got burnt from Homes Under the Hammer.
Okay.
Right? So don't watch it ever again.
Okay.
People, they go to the auctions.
Yeah.
And in my experience, I've been to many auctions and I've monitored auctions. And in my experience, all the crap goes to the auctions because there's a problem or something. Or the person that's bought it is overpaid. And then people have watched Homes Under the Hammer and they go to the auctions and they've got a bit of money. Well, they're not buying with education and they're not buying with formulas and they're buying with feelings. Oh my God, darling, that looks so nice. We've got to have it. Right? And they overpay for property. And when you overpay for property, it can screw you up for 10 years, 20 years.
Right.
It can screw you up big time. So never make that mistake. Entry level. Then the other one is service accommodation. Have you heard of service accommodation, rent to service accommodation, rent to HMO?
Yeah, because the team, the Project Possible team, they've been doing lots of classes and stuff like what you just said, like deal sourcing and buy to let and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to rent to service accommodation, you can rent something, say £1,000 a month is a rent for that. And then they want a £1,000 deposit. And then you've got to spend £1,000, £2,000 on it to make it nice and get a management in place to look after it. You might be £5,000 in. If you buy it off a deal sourcer, then the deal sourcer might want £3,000, and then you're £8,000 in. You paid £8,000 for a property, and that property might earn you £800 a month, £1,000 a month.
Right.
And if you look at your
so we kind of break even in a year's time, and then it's profit from the next year.
Yeah, and you sign a 3 to 5 year agreement, so you break even on the first year, and you're making that £1,000 a month. Now, if you're thinking of what's my financial freedom figure, your financial freedom figure is what do you need to survive on. So for some people, it's £2,000 a month. Some people, £4,000 a month. Now, if you think of rent to service accommodation, how many of them deals do you need to have your financial freedom figure covered?
Okay.
So there's many ways. Obviously, buying property is a long game. Holding it, letting it grow, capital appreciation, collect the Bruce's bonus, and then there's all the other ways as well. So that's one beauty of property, is that there's many, many, many ways that you can invest. You can be a property investor.
Smashing. Thanks, Mo.
Okay, pleasure, Manu. All right.
Cheers.
We're in Manchester. Anytime you're watching the game, we accept free tickets, no problem. Yeah.
All right.
You can pick our brains all night long.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. Free ticket and one deal for you, Manu. That's it.
Free ticket and we'll sell you a deal.
Thank you very much, Manu. Hope that helps you. And I think that's it for the questions. The time is up for questions. So thank you very much, Mo and Adam, for your valuable time. And it's always good to hear an insight from experienced people like you, like what all things we should be looking at. And especially when you talked about auction properties and the hype around it, it's very important that we do our due diligence around it before we buy. So thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. So now, guys, it's the time to invite our next guest speaker to our call. And before I invite them, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce a little bit about him and what he has done in his previous journey. So he has got a degree in building surveying. He has worked for Barclays as a business development manager. He has got more than 10 years experience in financial sector. Now he is self-employed and working as mortgage and protection broker, dealing with residential, commercial, and large-scale project financing. And of course, he is also an investor, and I have used his services many times, and he has helped me answer all my crazy questions. So I'm very happy to invite Shirin Patel in this virtual platform. Over to you, Shirin.
Thank you, Kushal. Thank you for the very warm welcome. Hi, everyone. So my name's Shirin, and I am a mortgage broker as well as a protection broker. Can't forget the protection. So I deal with both residential and commercial mortgages. So residential being if you're looking to buy a property to live in on a residential basis, as well as buying a property to invest, so buy to let. I also deal with commercial, so that encompasses bridging, that could be development finance, it could be large scale projects, as it says there, if you're looking to buy a site, so land and develop it, whether that's building flats or houses. So it's a vast array of kind of lending that I deal with. Yes, I've been in the sector for over 10 years now. And I have a team of brokers that I have that work with me. And yeah, so I'd like to spend some time today just to educate you a bit more about the buy-to-let process than some of the other stuff that I've just explained. And hopefully you get something out of this today. Hopefully it answers some questions in how buy-to-let works, what you should be looking out for, the market itself, and you know, I can answer any questions at the end that you may have. So Kushal, if you can move on to the next slide. So buy-to-let mortgages. Now in the UK, property prices have risen quite a bit since World War II. And if we're looking at the ONS charts as of yesterday, I mean, average UK prices are up 10.6%, and that's a year to date in August. So that's a huge jump in prices, and a lot of that is to do with demand. A lot of that's to do with Brexit. A lot of that's to do with people wanting to move out. So maybe they were stuck in flats during COVID. But there's a number of reasons which I won't go into, but that have led to prices to increase. And the annual price growth, which has been the strongest, has been up north. So where Mo is currently at the moment. You know, Scotland, for example, has achieved 16.9% in terms of the annual price growth. So it's crazy to see, you know, what house prices are doing and what they've also done over the years. Now, inflation, I mean, so the chart below sort of explains or gives you a graph of kind of what house prices have been doing adjusted for inflation. And inflation for those is defined as the increase in price in goods and services over a period of time. So inflation can drive up house prices and can lead to many potential buyers being priced out of a property as well. So it goes without saying the UK has increased post-World War. In fact, figures from Nationwide show that since 1952, which is not in that graph there, but the average cost of a home was just £1,891. Now to see that in 2000, that starts at sort of 150,000, you could see, you know, how much house prices has risen since the 1950s. And the cause of house price inflation is you know, factors to deal with, you know, purely economic principles of supply and demand. You know, when there's an increased demand for houses and a reduced supply of homes, house prices increase. And in recent years, housing demand has been very strong, especially in the 90s and noughties, as I say. And this, of course, changed with the credit crunch hit. So as you can see, it kind of dipped around sort of, you know, well, since 2007, 2008, and then it started, finding its feet again after 2011 and 12. So, shortage of supply has long been a problem in the UK housing market, especially in popular areas. And consequently, this means that, there's a slight increase in demand, or even a slight increase in demand can cause a proportionally significant rise in house prices. And maybe some of the growth up north has been a result of HS2, which is potentially going to come in, but there's also been investment, as Mo explained, in terms of certain areas up north. And, all of these reasons are a result of why house prices continues to go up on a yearly basis. So I just wanted to kind of spend some time explaining that bit and, what we've seen over the last sort of 50 years or 60, 70 years in terms of house prices. And buy to let can be seen as a safe investment or a steady investment compared to other asset classes. So it's suited for medium and long-term investment, whereby you invest in a buy to let property, and you've got rental returns coming in, which can be reinvested again. And through one, you buy another, and you buy a third, and you buy a fourth. And a lot of the models that Mo explained earlier about the BRA and all those other models, you can sort of scale effectively. Buy to lets is also, as I said, regarded as a reliable investment. So as well as your stocks, shares, it's a very I would say a safe investment, but again, people can get hurt, as you would see in the graph before, where prices plummeted post the recession that we had last time in 2007 and 8. So as with any investment, there is risks, so that's something you do need to take into account. If you could move on to the next slide, if that's okay. Brilliant. So how does a buy-to-let investment work? So typically, there's a 25% deposit that's required, and that's 25% of the property value. However, the borrowing amount does depend on the rental income, and that's what dictates how much you can borrow. Some lenders do offer 20% deposit, and there is a myth that lenders do accept 15, which is correct. But with those lenders, there are higher stress rates, which means that the rental income needs to be quite high in order for that to work. So typically 25% is what would fit with most lenders, but depending on the area, depending on the rent, it could work with a 20 and 15%. Now, investor will look to find tenants to live there who will then pay rent each month. And this would then be used to cover the mortgage payments, which is known as rental income. And during the lifespan of the mortgage, the investment for the investor is to achieve capital growth, which is one of the reasons of investing. So what's happened over the last 50 years is a lot of people have built wealth because of the capital growth that they've had in their buy-to-let investments. And for some, it's passive income. So it's the rental income that you earn every month from that property. And that's, again, something that can provide someone can give the option to someone to go, become financially free. So normally there are two types of strategies to investments there. Now, anytime you don't have a tenant, you can also run the risk of having to pay the mortgage from your own pocket, which is known as a void period. So that is something that you do need to factor in and is a risk. And as with any investment, there are upfront costs. So that includes things like stamp duty, solicitors, valuations, broker fee, application fee, which the banks charge, and ongoing costs such as the maintenance of the property, the running costs of the property, income tax, estate agency fees. So those are also something, the cost that you need to take into account. I just wanted to touch on personal or limited companies. So when buying a buy-to-let investment property, you can choose to purchase this in your own name or in a limited company name. And this is something that has happened as a result of, since 2017, when landlords saw that money they could write off for tax purposes drop from by 25% year on year. And it's been phased in. And April this year, that's now fully implemented. So Previously, before, landlords could effectively deduct finance costs. So it's things like mortgage interest from their earnings to reduce the income tax they pay. However, from 2017, the government changed this so you can no longer deduct finance costs, and instead you claim a basic 20% on 100% of the cost. Now, what this means, and I'll explain this in an example, is that landlords have to declare all the rental income and pay tax on the full amount. They claim back the 20% as credit, and for those that are higher rate taxpayers, they obviously have to pay the tax on whatever the tax bracket is, so whether that's 40% or whether that's 45%. And I'll explain this in a bit more detail. So the government implemented this to prevent the highest from earning landlords from receiving the biggest income tax relief. So this is one of the reasons why this was implemented. So if you could just move on to the next slide. I'll explain that situation, so it's a slide ahead, but before we move on to that as well, I'd like to explain what an SPV is. So in that example where I explained about why one would buy in a personal and limited, the personal route would tend to be for those people that are on the lower tax bracket. But if you were a higher rate taxpayer, they choose to go down the limited company route because there is a saving. Now, in order to go down the limited company route, you would have to set up a limited company, and that can be done through Companies House. But when you register on Companies House, there is a special purpose vehicle that you need to allocate with the company that you're setting up. So that normally is something that the lender does request it to be of a certain SIC code. And those three that I've just put on there, 68100, 68209 and 68320, are just one of several different types of SIC codes that you can choose. And I think there has been a presentation that Project Possible have done on this. So you can maybe view that video to get a bit more details on how to set that up and what SIC codes to use. So just on that example that I was explaining earlier about the personal limited company, the primary difference here is someone that's a basic tax rate payer, so i.e. someone that's earning 20%, paying 20% income tax, and someone that's paying 40 or 45. So on the left-hand side, you've got somebody that would buy a property in a limited company. Let's say their income per annum is £15,000. Let's say the mortgage interest rate is 3.49%. So the yearly interest that you'll be paying on that property is 7852.50. Now, the taxable profit is calculated by taking the yearly income, deducting the mortgage interest, and then you have what's left over as your profit. Now, within a limited company, the corporation tax at the moment is 19%. So the tax that you would pay would be 19% as opposed to 20 or anything higher. And that would be then 1358.0. So if you deduct that from the actual net profit, your total profit within a limited company is 5789.47. Now, if we move over to the right-hand side, there is an example if you owned it in your personal name. So again, the same scenario, £15,000, you would have mortgage interest at the same amount. Your taxable, now this is again a scenario for a high rate taxpayer where 15,000 times 40% is 6,000. Now, if you deduct that from the tax due, you've got 4429.50, meaning that you've got to be you're paying more tax by owning that property in a personal name rather than a limited company, and therefore that's an extra £3,071.47 per year that you're having saved by having that property in a limited company rather than a personal name. So this is just an example on someone that's a higher rate taxpayer. Now, in order to do this calculation, I would strongly suggest that you do sit down with an accountant to understand where your tax bracket is and how it would fit in with whether one would go down the limited company route or owning that property in a personal name. Now, in terms of the different types of buy-to-lets, so you could, invest as in your first property being a standard house or flat, and that could be bought in a limited company or a personal name. You could also invest in what's known as HMO. So that stands for House of Multiple Occupation. So that sees you renting out rooms to different tenants as opposed to one whole property being rented out to one tenant. There is something called Let to Buy. So that's also where you could rent out your current home and you're then moving into a new property to live in. So you would do that by taking out a buy-to-let mortgage on your current place and then taking out a residential mortgage on your new home. But doing that would then allow you to potentially release some equity out of your current property, then for you to put down a deposit on the new property. There is also portfolio landlords. Just wanted to explain that someone that does have more than 4 mortgage buy-to-let properties is considered as a portfolio landlord in the eyes of a lender. Now, what that means is 2 things. That as a portfolio landlord, there will be a lot more scrutiny by the lender in terms of understanding the other properties, and they treat you as professional landlords or investors. Limitations on lenders that you can go to, a lot more paperwork, a lot more documents, potentially higher interest rates. This is where, lenders also look at it as potentially, more risk for them if, the market was to crash and you are a landlord of multiple properties. They would need to understand a bit more about your portfolio and how it's geared. Now, getting your documents together, I think it's one of the most important things, especially if you're a first-time investor. Having everything ready will set you up in making sure that once you do see a property that you want to buy, you're able to move very, very quickly. And I find that sometimes this is the bit that does let some buyers down. We end up losing some ground on time. There's always pressure on getting surveys instructed. And sometimes if there is a seller that wants to move very quickly, they would go with someone that has got everything ready and able to submit an application very, very quickly. So documents play a key role. So things that you will need is things like your identities, so passports, proof of a current address, details of your income, bank statements, where the income is paid into, proof of deposit, portfolio schedule if you already have a buy-to-let property. So they would want to know, what's the value of the property, how much is outstanding, and what rent you achieve. Cash flow. Again, we've lived through the COVID where cash flow has potentially been a problem, where there have been rental voids and tenants not paying rent. So again, just checking that, and also checking whether your tax liability is up to date, so that there is no undue tax that's outstanding. Business plans. So again, some lenders do want to understand what your business plan is, whether you're looking to invest and buy more properties, how you plan to manage the property. So many things that they do ask as part of your business plan. And again, this is something that we as brokers can help you fill out. There sometimes is more information relevant to your application, but it's on a case-by-case basis. Credit search. So credit search is very, very important. A lot of people assume that they have very good credit history, and later on there could be something that they completely missed, or a late payment they were unaware of, or even a mistake to that matter, where someone's incorrectly put down a late payment. So it's always good to keep an update on your credit file. Some lenders do a soft credit search, some do a hard credit search. So I would strongly suggest having a look at your credit file. There is credit reference agencies like checkmyfile.com where you can sign up and have a look at all your history through all the credit reference agencies. And most lenders will do a hard credit search once the full application is submitted. With credit searches, 1, 2, 3, it's okay. It's when you do multiple credit searches in quick succession that lenders maybe start looking at you and thinking, okay, well, let's find out why this guy has been to various different lenders. So I would strongly advise from not doing multiple credit searches, but do it once you're ready and wanting to proceed. There are ways to improve credit history, and that could be by paying off all your debt. A lot of people have unused credit cards, but what they don't realize is that that can have an effect on the credit decisioning, because lenders don't like the credit facility, because that credit facility is potentially available to draw down on. So if you do have unused credit cards, or normally that is the bit where people don't realize. So they've used a credit card, or done a balance transfer, and they've forgotten to close it down. And it's only when you actually call up the credit card company and you say, I'd like to close it down, it's actually closed down. And sometimes when you even do that, it doesn't always happen. So, definitely closing down unused credit cards will improve your credit history. Paying off your debts on time. So any late payment, lenders don't really like, because again, if you're looking to borrow hundreds of £1,000s and you're missing out on something that's as little as £30 or £40, that doesn't give a good impression to a lender. Electoral roll, so registering to vote, that's also quite important. Very important, to be honest with you. Some people have linked addresses or haven't updated their addresses, so ensuring that that's updated on the credit file is important, because that does improve your credit history. And having a good debt to income ratio. So this does matter with buy-to-lets, and some people have potentially, let's say, £50,000 of credit cards and loans compared to their income of £50,000. So in that scenario, your debts are equal to your loan, and it might be that you can afford it, but again, lenders don't like that. So debt to income ratio is something that lenders do look at. And there is websites such as Portify which do help credit building. So something I can sort of ask you to look into, if there are some people that do have credit issues. It's a very good website to kind of help you build your credit back up again. A lot of the time we get questioned about how much we can borrow, and to be honest, the answer that we can give without getting too technical is based on the rent. And just to explain how this works, your rental income will need to be generally between 125 to 160% of your monthly mortgage payments. Now, typically it's 125, but the 160 depends on what type of property it is. So for example, if it's a HMO property, you would generally have a sort of a stress rate of 160. So in this scenario, your mortgage is £1,000 a month. You would need £1,250 as the rent. But that's not just the whole picture. The mortgage payments are calculated by stress testing the actual amount of money that you're borrowing, and that's stress tested at typically an interest rate of 5.5%, as low as the pay rate. So it could be as low as the interest rate of what the lender is providing. So that's how you come to what the actual mortgage payments are. And then there's the extra calculation on top of that, which is the 125 and 160. But this is something that we as brokers can have a conversation with. You normally let us know what the rental income is, and we can guide you in terms of roughly what amount of borrowing you can have. But that all ties in with the case itself in terms of who you are as a client and whether you'll fit that lender's criteria. So guys, that's a whistle-stop tour in terms of buy-to-lets. I mean, there's a lot to it, but I'm sure if you've got any questions, feel free to ask, please.
Thank you so much, Shirin. It's such a valuable content you shared. Really, thank you for that. Because some of the things are like completely new to me, like why we are buying our investment properties under the company name. I mean, I didn't went so deeply, but really thank you for that insight. Thank you. So yeah, so guys, please come up and ask the questions. Here is your opportunity to ask what you want.
Yeah, and any questions, guys. It could be anything, and no question is a silly question.
Yeah, yeah. So guys, we only have 15 to 20 minutes for the question and answer session. So yeah, let's fire them. Yeah, guys. And Shirin, I have a questions actually. So people are still, I think, thinking their questions. So I have some questions for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so basically, we have our residential property, and we now buying our investment assets under the company name. So we have our asset holding company. So in future, if we decide to move our residential home under that asset holding company, and if we want to go ahead for the another property as a residential home, so can we do that, and how easy the procedure is?
So just to clarify, you have a residential mortgage and you are looking to purchase another residential mortgage. So you're looking to port, or are you looking to sell and buy, or sorry, if you could explain that again.
Yes, so we actually want it as giving to letting. So we want this as a buy to let.
Sure. Yeah. So you would. Yeah. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of that at the moment, and it typically is in higher rate taxpayers. So they don't want to sell their current property; they want to keep it. And what would happen is you would sell to your limited company. Now there is still a sale and a purchase. It's not sort of remortgage and then you convert it into a let to buy or a buy to let. It is a sale to your limited company. So you would incur, the capital gains tax. You would incur stamp duty. But it is a sale to the limited company, and that limited company will then own that property. But in terms of deposits, if you're looking to do like for like, then there's no money exchanging hands, and lenders are comfortable with that. But I'm doing a lot of that, whereby people own properties in a personal name and they're trying to convert it into a limited company and retain it. So is that the question and the answer that you're looking at?
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
I would like to add something more on that question to Parinita just asked. So in the same scenario, if I have my own property, residential property, and I invest on some buy-to-let or the HMO property, and in future, I invested, my investment property is under the limited company. In future, I wanted to sell my personal or residential property and buy another property. Okay, and if I do that under personal mortgage or anything, how it would impact on capital gain tax, and how it would impact on getting the mortgage or the interest on mortgage.
Sure. So I'm not a tax advisor, so my limited knowledge on the capital tax element is if it's your primary residence, if you're selling and then buying, the CGT is based on whatever the gain that you've made. But there is calculators on .gov websites where you can literally put in the price that you bought, the cost incurred, and at the end it will give you a sort of a figure in terms of whether there is any tax due. But if I'm correct, I mean, if it's your primary residence, there is no capital gains tax. But again, like I said, I'm not a tax advisor, so it's not one of those questions I can answer, I'm afraid.
Okay, but how it would impact on mortgage, because I already have a property under my limited company.
So the question I guess you're asking is about stamp duty. Yeah. So with stamp duty is it's determined on whether you're actually selling your main residence and buying it. So there's three brackets. One is a first-time buyer. Second, if you're a home mover, and then third, if you're an additional property owner. So if you're a home mover, by selling and buying, again, there's a calculator online, and I could probably share you the actual website, but it's a really good one because you literally just put in the amount that you're looking to purchase at, and it will calculate as a home mover what your stamp duty is. But there will still be stamp duty, but it would be reduced in comparison to you buying. Let's say, for example, you were keeping that property residential and you were buying another buy-to-let. So therefore you own two properties. That's what you call an additional homeowner. And that's where the additional stamp duty applies.
Okay, and I understand that it will impact on getting the mortgage or the mortgage interest from the lender as well.
So what do you mean by mortgage interest?
So if I'm buying a new property as a residential property, and at the same time I have my investment property under the limited company, how they go hand in hand together?
So just to clarify your example, you have your main residence, you have your limited company, and you're looking to buy a third property?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, and sorry, your question is what implication that has on stamp duty?
Not really on the stamp duty, it's just getting the mortgage, because I'm selling my own residential property and buying another residential property. So I'm not having two properties under my name. I'm just buying a new property where I'm going to live. So is it counted as the first property, and the mortgage?
It's just a home mover. It's just a home mover. You're selling your main residence and you're buying another. So it's just a home mover. So yeah, in terms of stamp duty, as I said, there's websites online which will give you what the stamp duty figure is. But from the eyes of a mortgage lender, that's quite normal in what you're looking to do.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, I don't know if that's answered your question, but yeah, again, I'm not a tax advisor. So a lot of these questions about capital gains, stamp duty, they're all dependent on the sale. So for example, with the stamp duty, normally it's something your solicitor will be dealing with. Your solicitor, as part of that transaction, will be completing the SDLT form at the end of the transaction. So my advice would be to ask that question to the solicitor, because they will be the ones that will be doing that return and informing HMRC of what stamp duty is payable. But again, there are websites online that you could go on to, which will give you the figures that you're looking for. And equally with CGT, again, there are websites online where you could calculate if there is any CGT on both residential and buy-to-let properties.
Right. Okay.
Cool. Hi, Shirin. Thank you for that great insight.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. I think you've wiped out a few of my questions in your response to the other one, because you mentioned you're not a tax advisor, but I still do have a few more questions. You mentioned about being a portfolio landlord. If you have four more mortgage buy-to-lets, why do lenders scrutinize you more? Surely they would see you as more experienced, therefore more likely to lend to you. Because let's say I've not got any buy-to-lets, I haven't got any experience in managing buy-to-lets. Surely I'm more risky than someone who actually has experience.
Yeah, so the risk element and the experience elements, I think, are two different things. So experience is very, very good and important for lenders, and they definitely take that into account. So for example, you know, there are very few lenders that would allow anybody to go and do a HMO, because a HMO requires experience. You know, you've got managing multiple individuals. You need, you know, to make sure the property is up to the right standard. You need to understand selective and licensing, and whether that area needs that licensing. It might need a rejig of the property internally to make sure it fits the local authority's criteria. So with that, a lender wanting someone that's got experience is very, very important. But likewise, on the risk side of things, you could have, I mean, I had a case where I had a client that had 50 properties, and I took it to a high street lender. But the lender looked at it as, well, the guy's got too many properties. And what they look at is, you know, how many properties you have, the rent that's coming in for those properties. They stress the properties in the background, because what they don't want, as I said in my presentation, is for the market to turn. And what you then find is, if the market turns, and that could be turning in terms of interest rate rises, it could be rental voids. And we have had that where, you know, tenants were not paying rent, you know, and there were rent voids. And we've had a situation where evicting tenants was put on hold by the government, where you couldn't evict tenants. So that's all risk. So by having multiple properties, that's multiple risk. And lenders look at that very, very closely, because what they don't want is someone highly geared. So they've maxed out the borrowing at 75%. The rental income is just meeting the portfolio stress test, and it could be a problem if interest rate rised, or it could be a problem if one or two properties rent were not being received. So you do add an element of risk, but not to say the experience doesn't help. But you need a blend of both in order for the lender to be happy with it. There are some lenders that have got a more a bigger appetite for those lenders that have multiple properties or are highly geared, but equally there's a higher interest rate for that. But if you are a vanilla client, then I'm sure any lender will would want your business. So if you were, let's say, at 30-40% loan to value, then most lenders would accept your business. So I hope that answers the question around why experience and risk is equally important for a lender.
Yeah, no, thank you. That really makes sense. I don't know if I have time, but I have a few more questions.
Yeah.
You talked about, where is it? Got so many notes written down about debt. And you said you should have good debt to credit. Now, usually online, you see stuff about 25% credit utilization. Now, do they talk about, when you talk about debt, are you talking about like mortgages, or you talk about more consumer debt? So I don't know, cars, credit cards. What kind of debt are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about unsecured lending, so credit cards, loans, those kind of things, because lenders also don't like a high debt to income ratio. They feel a bit nervy in seeing that customers have taken out a lot of debt. And again, if it goes down to a number of things. I mean, we're seeing right now inflation. If inflation increases, that has a knock-on effect on your disposable income. Again, if you've got a habit of borrowing money, well, there could be a perception that you may continue borrowing money, and there might be a reason behind that as to why you're continuing taking on more debt. So all of these factors a lender looks into to understanding whether there is a risk to the bank that if they lent to you that you could potentially take on more debt and you land yourself in trouble whereby they don't want to have a borrower that's already at high levels and take that risk. So that makes a difference. And I'm talking more about buy-to-lets than residentials here. But residentials, I mean, I think it's easy to know that obviously a high debt to income ratio just means that the mortgage won't be affordable. And there's a pattern of maybe borrowing. And equally, again, they also look at how you've taken on that debt. So if in a year you've taken on 10,000, 20, 30, 40, so in a quick succession, if you've taken on all this debt, that's also what they're looking at, compared to maybe over 3 or 4 years. So hopefully that's answered your question.
Okay, I'll do one more. Don't take much time. I mentioned you've kind of wiped out all my questions because about tax. So do you have any books you'd recommend about tax, like capital gains tax, anything, or any tool to learn more about tax?
I don't, I'm afraid. I think Mohammed is Mo's a bigger reader than I am. I mean, I do follow sort of podcasts and portals and stuff like that where it does give you insight into that. But there is one about SaaS, which I think, I mean, it may not relate to a lot of you, but it may relate to some people that are limited company owners, because it's a way of investing into commercial properties whereby your SIP or SaaS is investing, it's an interesting type of investment. But again, if there are any limited company or sole traders out there, I definitely say read more about SIP or SaaS. It's a great way of investing. But sorry, I don't have any recommendations for CGT or stamp duty.
Oh, good, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Do you have any more questions, Mark? No, but that's good. Thank you so much. It's really valuable, and thank you for asking those questions. I think we have some more questions from Manu. So Manu, you can unmute and ask.
Hi, Manu. Hi.
Hi, Shirin. Hey, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yourself?
I am good. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, they mentioned about Portify is something new to me regarding building credit score and stuff. So in terms of getting mortgages, obviously the lender looks into the credit score. Yeah. But my question is, in terms of establishing a limited company, but not the sole owner of it. Say there are like 3 people who is owning the limited company.
Yeah.
And 3 of them have is a hypothetical situation. So 3 of them have average credit score, and say the mortgage goes through, like for the buy-to-let, and we happen to put in the money, all three of us, but not equal share maybe. And say the mortgage goes through, we secure the buy-to-let and stuff. But in terms of running that project further on, say one of the partners says, I want the share back and gonna split. How does that impact on the credit score and stuff?
It's an application. So I guess if I'm correct in your question, if someone wants to take their money and they want to leave that sort of investment, so you've gone from 3 to 2, obviously a lender would need to be notified because they would have been added on as a shareholder and a director. And there would be an application as such, or at least some sort of underwriting to make sure that the remaining 2, and in terms of the actual mortgage, it's still, they fit the criteria of the lender. And that could be a criteria of income, that could be a criteria of portfolio, it could be a number of things, but you just need to notify a lender. It happens a lot, and it happens on residentials and buy-to-lets where, one person wants to come off, or you've had a separation, or you've had a divorce, or you've had, the partnership is dissolved and you kind of want to split your ways. One person wants to buy out the other person. So it's all possible. It just means that, it's a reassessment of the application by the lender. And on that point, I would like to say that, 1, 2, 3, or 4 even shareholders or directors, you could do on a limited company purchase. I mean, there are some lenders that even, go up to 5 or 6. You could also do whereby you've got an individual and a company as a shareholder. So there's, with limited companies, depending on what scale you're at, there's various different ways of structuring it. And that all comes down to, your discussions with your accountant, your discussions of what your plans are. Because with limited companies, you can have a number, or you can have a holding company, and that holding company is effectively wanting to invest and JV with somebody else. So yeah, I hopefully that's answered your question. But yeah, there's many things that you could do, and you can reassess. So there is no limitations on that.
Cool. Okay. The other thing regarding credits, because I wasn't too clear, was like you said to close down unused accounts. Yeah. So is that in terms of credit cards or like?
Yeah, so credit cards, unsecured lending. So credit cards or loans, I mean, generally speaking, it's normally going to be credit cards. And those are, sometimes when you balance transfer and then you've paid it off, and then you realize that actually that lender's come back to you and said, oh, we've given you a bigger credit limit, and you don't, or you failed to close that account down, and you've set up or balance transferred it to another lender. So those are sort of the scenarios that I can think of where customers have forgotten about these other credit cards and limits that they have. And also, if you've got a credit card limit and you're not using it, especially when you're taking out a mortgage, think about it, because, the higher the credit limits, the more credit is available, and lenders do look at that.
Right. Okay. So in terms of, say, having current accounts and say 2, 3 different banks, that's okay. It's just a credit card. That's it. Yeah.
Current accounts are fine. It's just credit cards. So before you're applying for a mortgage, just consider, how many credit cards you have, and if there are unused credit cards, just remove them. Call up the bank and just cancel them. They will take about a month to update on your credit report. So again, it's something I would advise at least a couple of months before. I'd always say review your credit file at least a month or 2 before you're applying for a mortgage, because there are situations where things that you don't even know about, you realize, and I've seen it a lot of times.
Right. So yeah, I mean, you have worked with Barclays, and my first bank is Barclays, and the reason I was talking about credit cards is because one of the employee there, when I approached them for having a personal loan out, they've advised me that the limit that they can give the loan at the moment is like £8,000, and the interest rate would be like 24%. And so, no, I'm not happy with that. So the advice is get a Barclays card and start purchasing and paying it off, so that the bank sees that your credible in terms of getting loans and paying it off. And yeah, that kind of helps. So I had a notion that the more credit cards you have, the more purchases and
that matters. Yeah, that matters when you're trying to get credit. It's almost like lending money. If I lent you money and you've paid it back on time, I know that actually, Manu, you're a credible person now. So if I'll lend you more this time, potentially because I can earn more interest. But there's an element of understanding the credibility of somebody, and the banks. I guess the way that works is by looking at your financial history. So that the advice of that person might have been because at the moment we don't know, or you're new to bank, or there's not been years of history. So the more you the more you borrow, the more you pay back on time. That's how you build it up. And it's the same thing with mortgages. With credit history, that's so important. And you might get that when you're new to this country. You get that a lot with anyone that's new to this country, that there's not enough credit. It also can work the other way around, where if you're against borrowing money, which some people are, there's not much active credit for someone to then look at and say, well, actually, do you know what? There is not much credit history on this person. I don't know whether they have got the experience of paying it back, but yet they may be the best because they've never borrowed money. So it's a fine balance in that. And it's just, there's always this perception that you do need to have credit cards, use it and build up your credit history. And like I said, that website there would definitely help you with that.
Cool. And in terms of current accounts, there was a senior person who told me, like, maintain a current account that shows like income and minimum kind of expenditure. So I have like 2 different current accounts in 2 different banks. So I get the income on one, I transfer a certain amount of money to the other account and spend it off from the other account. So the way the bank statements look on the ones that I get income is like very minimal transactions. And the one that I spend from have like 3 or 4 pages of, activity on it. Does that help, or is that just a myth?
It's a myth. I mean, you can structure your banking in many ways. Some people have savings going into another account as a savings account, and some people have credit cards that they use just for expenses because of the points that you accumulate. So it's really up to you how you do that. But all of that would be built into your credit file, and that's what banks look at. So if it's more about your credit score and everything else, it's a myth about how you use your banking or your current accounts. It's all about your credit score. So it's borrowing, paying it back on time, and doing the other bits and registering to vote and the other stuff that I explained in the presentation. But as I said, that website is really good at helping you do that.
Cool. Thanks, Shirin. Thanks for clearing all that. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Manu. Thank you so much, Shirin. It's really helpful.
Okay, no problem.
We got one more question on chat. It's saying, is it possible to get interest-free mortgage on the residential property?
Yes. So not interest-free. I'm not sure if you can get that. But I think the question was more about interest only.
Interest only. Sorry, I just read it wrong.
That's okay, no problem. So yeah, interest only, definitely. There is criteria around that. Obviously, it depends on which lender we go with, but the answer is yes. Generally speaking, most lenders want a good level of income, whether that's 75,000 sole or joint 100. With some lenders, there's just no minimum. All of them will want some sort of suitable repayment vehicle. So how will you repay this money back? So we would then have ask questions with the customer, whether they've got endowment policies, if there's selling of the property or another property, or if it's stocks and shares, ISAs. So there's got to be some way of repaying that back. And also what banks do sometimes look at is equity. So they've got to be a sufficient amount of equity in the property as well. But there's a number of factors which determine whether you can get an interest-only mortgage. But it will be on a case-by-case basis. So the answer is yes, you can.
Thank you so much, Shirin.
That's okay.
So Shirin, I have got a question leading on to that. It is a quick one. So can we change a repayment mortgage to an interest-only mortgage? How easy is that?
Yeah, it's easy as long as you fit the criteria. So I have a lot of customers that buy properties. But I mean, see, look, I think with interest only, if I'm being honest, on a residential, generally you tend to see that with higher rate taxpayers, because they want to keep the disposable income low. Obviously, where if you're borrowing £1 million and your payments maybe about £3,000-4,000, that's going to be a high disposable income. So their attitude to repaying that back is to keep, you know, payments low, because they want the disposable income to travel, to pay for school fees, or it could be just for extra disposable income to invest. And their repayment vehicle is to, you know, they'll downsize and sell that property at the end of the term and repay that back. Some choose to do part and part. You don't generally just have to have interest only. You could do part repayment and part interest only. But it comes down to having that conversation with the customer and understanding what their needs are. You know, a lot of the time, those that do want interest only is because they want the mortgage to be a certain amount. And there's obviously reasons off that. It could be saving a bit of money for buying another buy-to-let, you know, saving for kids' part for education. It could be a number of reasons. And we sit down and understand that, and then tailor that to what you want, and what the right product is. So our sort of, you know, advice is based on collectively understanding why you want interest only. So yeah, you can is the answer.
Thank you.
Yes, anybody has any questions? If not, then we can move ahead with our next session. But yes, thank you so much, Shirin. It's such a valuable.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. And you know, I please do share my contact details. I think they are available. Or if you do need them, please let me know. Feel free to give me a call. We have a team of brokers who can help you with any query, whether that's purchasing a buy-to-let property for the first time, or whether you've got a portfolio of properties, or even whether you're looking at buying a property through an auction, or looking for bridging finance. So there's an array of kind of lending that we offer. So feel free to contact us if you have any further questions. But thank you for your time, and hope this has been helpful to everyone that's watching. Thank you.
It is definitely, Shirin. Thank you so much. So I would like to invite Jito again, so he can take over.
Thank you, Pari. First of all, once again, welcome to Project Possible, and Mo, Adam, Shirin, thank you for all your valuable insight, what you have shared. And I know from your busy schedule, you guys have taken out the time. And each and every participant, I know some people are not only just based in UK, some are based in Gulf, some are based in other side of the Atlantic, and some are in Asia. So you guys are on different time zone, and you have taken the pain to be with us. So I'm sure Shirin and Mo and Adam has really given some great value to your time, what you have invested here. And property is a journey. It's as Mo said, it's a people's journey. But when we have a community, and when we have people around you who are buzzing into property, that's when the life becomes easy. That's where the fun starts. That's where you enjoy doing property. Or else property can be a really painful journey. So it is very important that you have a community around you who is helping you, encouraging you, and supporting you every day when it comes to property. Yeah, and that's what I love about whenever I pick up phone to Mo, he has something positive to say about. He has something, this is the deal which I'm looking into. This is the ROI I'm looking into. And that's exactly what happens with Shirin. When I go with my problems to Shirin, he finds an answer, he finds a solution for me. And that's exactly what we need, people around you who can help you in this journey. So what we have done is we have created a Facebook page for Project Possible, wherein you can post your questions, which, like, for example, some people are shy to ask the questions online. We can completely understand. I am one of them. So we created this Facebook page where you can go and ask these questions wherever you want. And what we'll do is we'll pick that questions and reach out to a particular expert from our power team whom we work with and try to get the answers for you. Okay. And if possible, we will do some videos to answer those questions. So make sure you guys carry on those link, click on those Facebook pages, and make sure you are part of that Facebook page. Now, the other thing which we want to celebrate here is the YouTube channel. It's been just 8 weeks that we have started our YouTube channel for Project Possible. The idea came from few of our core team members. And right now we already have more than 40 videos. I think I put 400 subscribers. in 8 weeks, we got 400 subscribers. So thank you for that support, what you guys have shown for whatever we are trying to do here, building a community of long-term property developers. And our vision is to help UK to have really good quality homes. And in that process, people to achieve financial freedom and have passive income. So that's our vision. It's a big vision. It's a long-term vision. And this small steps with your help, with your support is making that happen. Yeah. And we have crossed 4,000 views in 2 months. In 8 weeks, we have crossed 4,000 views because that shows a lot of people are watching our content. Thank you for that. And 40 videos, all core team members, they've been investing their time from a busy schedule. They all are working professionals. They do this in their spare time. And to have 40 videos in the last 8 weeks is awesome work. So hats off to all the core team members. Yeah. Now, what we have done is, based on the feedback, we have introduced 2 more series. One is Power Couple Coffee Chat. So wherein couples will be discussing something of what's going on in terms of property, and you will get some insight out of it. And the other one is Home Buyers and Property Investors Pain Point. What we have realized is when we started interacting with investors and first-time home buyers, or they're buying their homes, they all have different pain points. They had something different experience, absolutely different. Like, for example, I have done so many properties, but when I hear someone else, that problem I have never faced. So you will learn from each couple or each video, you will learn what they have experienced, what pain they have gone through. So imagine that you are getting a solution beforehand, before you face that problem. So it's very important that we have launched that series. Every week we will interview someone who has brought their first home or an investment property, and what was that one challenge they have gone through. So it will be a short and quick video. So make sure, keep that in your mind. So that's the new series we have launched. So guys, these are the social media activity we are building this community to support you guys with more and more content, with more and more experts, answering your questions and making your property journey easy for you, fun for you. Okay. So we are there to support you guys. So if I move to the next slide. Now, this month is very special. I'm a Catholic, and from a religious point of view, there are a lot of things happening this month. But there is another thing which I want to mention this month. This month is a Black History Month. Yeah, and one of the biggest, not the biggest, the greatest speech which has inspired me in my life again and again. I have a dream. There's 4 words, and that dream which King Martin Luther Jr. Started off. We all are actually living that dream. If we see the world is more inclusive to each one of us, it is because of that 4 key words. I have a dream. He didn't come and say that I have a plan, I have a vision. He said, I have a dream. And we are all the result of that dream. So every part of the world, there are a lot of challenges. As human race, we still have those challenges. But I think this is the month to celebrate. So we got 2 speakers who have volunteered, who have come forward to be with us next month. So we have Noha with us, who's a good friend of mine, and Noha has agreed to volunteer his time next month with us. He has multiple businesses, and he will be sharing his property journey and how important it is from an insurance point of view, how everything works. So if you move to the next slide, we have another young property investor. Yeah, so he has a master's in engineering in aerospace. He has worked for automobile companies, and this guy started like project management initially, and in a multinational automobile company. And then he realized the taste of property, and then he has worked with various experts and mentors in the industry. And now he has a portfolio of HMOs, not like few HMOs, but he has 6-bedroom, 7-bedroom, high standard, high quality HMOs. And one of his recent project he's working is on 20-room HMO. So he's a fabulous guy, young entrepreneur, and at the same time, he has the vision to give. He's always giving others his journey, his knowledge, his expert, and he's always welcoming and warm. So next month, we got Alfred with us, along with Noha, who will be sharing their journey in property investment. So watch the space. Make sure you guys park that date. 17th of November, evening 7 to 9. So that's where we will have Noha and Alfred with us sharing the virtual platform. So make sure you guys come up with your questions, anything throughout the 4 weeks, just keep sharing with us. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Suja and Robin. But before that, let me say once again a massive thank you to all the participants who are on this call from all part of the world. And again, Mo, Adam, and Shirin, thank you for your valuable time and contribution, what you have done to all the participants here. I'm sure they have got lots to take away, and I'm sure they will connect at some point to you guys to continue to get the support and help from you guys. Okay. So on that note, thank you, Robin and Suja.
Thank you, Jito. Before I go for the vote of thanks, we have just sent you a feedback link. All your feedback is really valuable to us. So please take 2 minutes of your time and do fill in the feedback form and help us to keep going and improve what we are doing right now. Right. It's my privilege to have been given this opportunity to thank you all. I would like to express my gratitude to our guest speakers, Mo, Adam, and Shirin, for accepting our invitation and taking some time from your busy schedule for delivering such a valuable and informative sessions. I'm still getting my head around all these informations that we just gained. Thank you all for attending today's live event. Thank you for investing your time. And I am pretty sure that you all have gained enormous amount of knowledge from our experts. Your presence, your feedbacks and comments encourages us to keep going. Do share about your experience of Project Possible events with your family, friends, business partners, and each one of you should take the commitment to bring someone on the next session. And in this way, we will be able to build a community of long-term property developers and help in solving the housing shortage in the UK. And that's what Project Possible's vision is. A big thank you to all the core team of Project Possible. You all have been working very hard to make this event successful and have been supporting each other. Thank you, team. Guys, keep watching our videos, and if you have any ideas or experience, do share it with the core team of Project Possible. For all those who are watching this event and hasn't registered yet, we have posted the link so you all can benefit from the future events like this one. Just a small reminder, please save the date in your calendar. The next session is on 17th of November 2021 at 7 p.m. UK time. Thank you once again. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.